Hello everyone, Preston here with another video on my channel, Parallax Art. Welcome everyone, and those that are new for the obvious reason of the title. But today we're going to be talking about the news that happened last week. It's kind of old news, but I wanted to give my opinion on it now that a little bit more information has been dropped about it and a little bit more understanding from my part. Because I didn't want to just jump in and be like, news coming soon, and I'm not a news channel, I'm not an art news channel. I just wanted to talk about something about artists. So before we get into that, remember to comment what you guys think about this whole situation, as well as recommendations for different programs if you need to. If you want to, that would be great. And possibly, subscribe if you like what I've been doing. But big news. Clip Studio Paint last week announced that they are going to go into a subscription-based program. This is very discouraging to a lot of artists. On Twitter alone, it has 25.2 thousand quote tweets, and that's a lot of artists that are just really upset about this whole situation. As someone who was just getting into Clip Studio Paint and not trying to, throw myself into it, because I got it when I was Manga Studio back 13 years ago, and I was just getting back into it. It's a lot to see what's going on, and I was going to do a pros and cons between Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop. But now besides the minuscule tools that a lot of people use, there's not a lot of stuff that's different now. Like, the price was the biggest choice between Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop, because Photoshop and Adobe were monthly subscriptions. And that's something that a lot of people were concerned about and making a lot of issues with when back in 2012 Photoshop and Adobe went to the subscription base. Now, again, devil's advocate, I believe that going subscription for Photoshop and Adobe was probably the more affordable way for them, because before Photoshop went into the subscription base with Adobe, just Photoshop, from what I've seen, was either somewhere between $600 a year to get the license for it, where you can opt into buying the next one, or $2,000. I just remember that when I was younger, my dad didn't really want to go for the every yearly thing, and that was a struggle for him as a graphic designer, to get Illustrator and Photoshop. But the changes that they've done for the subscription base is okay with Adobe. They recently increased the price of the Lightroom and Photoshop deal that they had, where it was $9.99, now it's $19.99, and just Photoshop is $9.99. So still, recommendation, go for the Lightroom and Photoshop one, because that's 2 apps for 1. That's just a heads up. But let's go back to Clip Studio Paint. The Clip Studio Paint situation is, from what I've seen, there's going to be a situation where they're going on tiers. These tiers are very different. There's going to be a perpetual license tier where you can keep the one, but it will eventually get to the point where its updates won't happen for stability purposes. So until your hardware that you use gets a software update where it won't be able to hold Clip Studio Paint, that's going to be your luck. I'm recommending that you keep with Clip Studio Paint 1 if you can't afford any others. Until that time, maybe get the second one, because you can get the version 2 at the Clip Studio Paint at one point with the second tier. But the third one is definitely the monthly plan where they're going to go through. I searched a while for it. There's one place where you can see a plan for $50, one place to see a plan for $100 a year. And it's just different, but I think the average cost is about just barely half of what Photoshop is for the monthly. If that, if you count the fact that with Photoshop you can not only have it on your iPad, but you can also have it on 2 hardware devices. So a 3 plan with that in mind. According to maybe the most recent version 1 monthly plans that they have, which I'm guessing they're not going to do much changing between the monthlies. It might be $1 for a month for 3 months, and then they're going to go into this higher rate. So they're going to still keep their discounts rates going. But the situation is that they're to have up to 4 devices, which is just over better than Photoshop's 20, is about $14 a month or $15 a month. And compare and contrast, that's actually a better deal for one program to another. It's about $5 to $6 cheaper. And I think that's good for one subscription. I am using a subscription for Photoshop right now, so I'm not really one that's an avid, cool. I'm used to using a subscription. Yes, one of my other subscriptions, if I want to continue using Clip Studio Paint, will have to get canceled. But right now I am making enough to be able to pay for my Adobe subscription completely and trying to, make money afterwards. And that's the great thing, is doing that as a freelance artist. But the situation is that this is going to make it so that hobby artists aren't going to be able to use it. And that's why, from what I've seen, the best recommendation for most people would be to go over to Krita if you can't afford this. When you look at other artists, like traditional artists, they do spend quite a bit of money onto their supplies and their traditional mediums like oil, charcoal, things like that. Those can get up in price. As someone who went into college for art and specifically illustration for animation and stuff, I really spent a lot more money on my traditional art than I ever did with my digital art. And I got Cintiq and all that during college. It's crazy how much traditional can be worth. So I'm just trying to give a silver lining that as digital artists, we still have it fairly easy comparatively to other artists. But the situation is that there's a lot of people that chose digital because it's more affordable. And there's other ways out there. There's cheaper drawing tablets. You can get an iPad with Procreate on it, which that's, last time I paid for it, it was like $10 for the full thing. I think that might have changed, because I think I actually spent like $5 on Procreate when it came out. It was very cheap, and I got grandfathered in, and I got a perpetual license for it. So a lot more people are spending a lot more on that than I did when it came out. And that's just me being honest and upfront here. So I don't know what the actual price of Procreate is right now, because when I search it, it doesn't show it for me on the Apple Store. The other thing is that there's other ways on, a desktop computer if you want to do that, like Krita and things like that. And there's ways to support those developers that are making Krita. There's a number of different ways to do this. This is just news that Clip Studio Paint did that I wanted to get the full extent before I posted any video about this. If you guys do want to talk more about this, talk about it in the comments. I would like to know what you guys have an idea of what might be going on, or what your thoughts are about it. And if you do have recommendations besides Krita or Procreate, let me know in the comments for those that also watch my videos, so that we can all continue being artists that are on a budget as much as possible. And I think that that's going to be the situation, is that we're all going to be looking for more of a budget for us all to be in a better situation for artists. And I hope you guys all enjoy your time and your nights, and try to get the best about this situation, because let's just continue making art and see where we can go. And other than that, please remember to like, comment again what you guys think about this whole situation, and subscribe.